You're listening to This Week in Property. Stay current, relevant and up to date in the world of property investment. Learn from the UK's leading property professionals and grow your property business.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host Richard Swan, and I have the privilege and the honour of being in this position to meet so many people, so many characters, personalities, backgrounds, life experiences, business, property, life in general, you name it. It's amazing. I get so much fun and joy out of it. And today, my goodness, today certainly ticks the boxes of characters and personalities and life experiences. My goodness. The guest today, his name is quite simple, Fredrik Sandvall. However, his background, his life experience is something that could be spread across the life of 4 different people put together. It is remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And we dug into all different aspects from all different areas of it. To give you a taster, I don't want to obviously give everything away about the conversation. I want you to hear that unfold. But just to give you a taster to touch upon some of the many elements that we happen to touch upon covering this man's life so far. Let me give you this. Costa Coffee, Organised Crime, Special Forces, worked in 40 countries, travelled to at least 80, an amazing life/business, very regular connection between London and Sweden, property, finance, investments, tech, mentoring, speaking, podcasting, book author. You get the idea. It's almost as if I'm giving you the labels for the next 15 shows. But no, this is one show and this is one man. I'm sure I used the phrase, a man with his finger in many pies, and you can see why just from that little build-up. So I'm going to let the show unfold for you, and you'll get a feel for the kind of man this is, what he's involved with, the incredible drive and enthusiasm that he has to enjoy life, and very importantly, to help as many people as possible. All of the links for Fredrik's different business interests and companies and so on are in the show notes, of course. Make sure you reach out and hook in and subscribe to his podcast and so on and so forth. But let's hear from the man himself. Without any further ado, Fredrik Sandvall. So hello, Fredrik. It's fantastic to have you on This Week in Property. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for asking. No, I'm really pleased to be welcomed by yourself, as I like to talk.
Yeah, I like to talk. I might just hold you to that. Fantastic. So let's get off and running. Want to know so much about you. It's great having someone like you who's got that mindset of wanting to help so many people. You're a man involved in so many things. The phrase, I have a finger in a lot of pies, is very appropriate for you, as we'll get into. Oh yes, very much so, which is great. That buzz about life and business and being able to help so many people in so many areas is a fantastic thing to have. But let's do a nice wee introduction for the listeners. If I had to stop you in the street, if I had to say, listen, what's your story? You know, if you had to summarise your background, your kind of journey that's taken you to this point in your life, how would you explain that to someone?
The tricky thing is I would twist that question around and hand it back to them, because unless I know where they come from, how would I tell them what's interesting to them? But assuming that they give the question back to me, thank you for asking, I would say that I am born in Sweden. I've been working all over the world and messed up my accent completely. So now when you got the accent out of the way, it's from working a lot of countries, 40 plus easily. And I'm living in this kingdom for the last 11 years-ish.
Is that 11 years now? Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So my curiosity has taken me really all over the world, from the countryside in Sweden to later through the Boy Scouts, to later after that was the military. And I did my time with Special Forces, and that you meet interesting people.
I'll bet, yes, a few characters to say the least.
And from the military there, I did a transformation into full-time business. I've been in business since 97, basically.
97, okay.
But I went from that into management consulting, climbed the career ladder as one can do, and then in due time, about 5 years ago, I jumped ship completely and went full-time into business and property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And going from that, the jump at the start from the military into business, did you know what you wanted? Did you see something you went after?
Yeah, I did. I had already been cheating, so running my business in parallel to working with the military.
Right.
Almost 10 years at that time. And in property while being in the military, also like 13 years, but very, very passively.
Okay.
If you know anything about like forests and trees grow very, very slowly, but they keep growing even if you're not there.
Yes.
So having like an 80-year business cycle of one of your businesses, that means you're not really in a rush.
Of course. You can see that longer picture, the longer term.
So yeah, I had a great year at Lancaster University where I did an MBA, and I was reminded about how much I like consulting. So the same day as I graduated, I was already in consulting with a business.
Right. What do you get most out of that? You know, the world of consulting. What fires you up about that?
I love to help others, and you do that all day long. You ask lots of questions, and it's really funny with consulting. And you might take in a consultant to figure out how much. What time is it? And they will basically ask you to hand over their watch. They will take a look at it, and they will maybe even tell you the time, but they will probably keep the watch. That is not really how consulting works. No, jokes aside, love a good laugh. I work with how we can transform a team, how to make better decisions, how to implement projects. Work with a huge host of brands that you're probably familiar with, everything from Costa Coffee, how they can project manage their rollout, which was 2010-ish. So they've been growing quite a lot since. So we were basically helping them.
It's done well since, yes. Fantastic.
Meeting up with the guy who was tasting their coffee beans globally, and he was part of that project as well. I guess he's still around, sniffing on those beans. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I did move on.
You moved on.
I did move on to other consulting, and the last 3 years of doing full-time consulting, I work specifically with how to win deals, how to sell, and help companies like Google, KPMG, lots of startups, big IT companies to win small and massive contracts. I think the biggest I was involved in winning was €1.5 billion. So I was consulting, helping them how to do the right things to secure the contract, which is like super cool, like a 10-year project with like thousands of people involved. So that's really fun to be part of like 100+ sales team to pull something like that off.
That is fantastic. Yeah. And tell me this, with that view that you've got, which is quite remarkable, so many different companies, from small to gigantic, from project small to long, all these different countries. Do you see repeated patterns? Do you see company, they're doing certain things. Why are they still doing that? Why does this still happen in business? What's going on here? Do you see that? Do you see patterns?
Absolutely. I mean, people face the same challenges. People might love or hate their job. Success leaves clues. There are many, many, many hidden gems. And very, very often, for example, if you take the sales process, as an example. So, for example, you might sell the idea of someone selling you their property as a discounted price. That's a sales process. You got another sales process where you might want to raise finance. You're looking for an extra £1 million to put into a deal. That's a sales process. And those steps are actually really, really logical.
Right.
And since we work with people regardless which of those processes it is, it's around the communication, it's connection, it's a bit of likability, but ultimately that is not the only decision point, but it's influencing. So I like that, because the more people you help, and also in coaching and helping so many people in property, you take on everyone's shit.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you're really good at dealing with shit.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, with all this shit behind you, everything seems so easy, and I'm out of the shit. At least most.
I hope you're not going to add that onto your LinkedIn profile.
No.
One of the skill sets.
That makes it to the show note quotes like, okay, Fredrik is in the shit. All right.
Oh, fantastic. And tell me, with those projects, if I had to get you to pick one that you got the most personal satisfaction from, when you thought, yes, did a good job there, or we helped most people there, or what one pops out for you?
One that pops out is really because it was really intense and it was really a strong team. So I was working with a colonel. His first name is Peter, and he was working with intelligence, and I was on joint forces level, which means the highest level you can be in a country.
Right.
This was in Bosnia, and I was in charge together with my team to basically decide what will all the people on the ground do.
Right.
In this case, was working against organized crime.
Wow.
So basically planning what 5,000 plus people should do with helicopters, tanks, everything, and all the resources you might see in the movies, having that at your fingertips, extremely cool, really fun. And to be able to point out the direction, convince a general that this is what you're going to order. So basically you're telling the general what he would tell the troops, and then you will have to make sure that everyone's doing what they should do. That was probably the peak of my life, and as part of that, in that limited time, we seized like more than 25 kilos of heroin. We stopped illegal logging. We stopped smuggling of people as well as fuel, and that was really a peak.
No wonder that is.
And another really strange peak, which is not linked to property either at all. It's working with the World Food Program. So this is like an aid project. I was brought in as international specialist. This is to Congo in Africa.
Wow.
To basically help WFP to set up how can we take all this huge amount of food and get it out in the countryside where we don't even have any trucks, roads or anything. So that's professional problem solving on a grand scale.
Wow.
So to make sure that millions of people can get food, that's even cooler than the first project actually. And to be an important cog in that wheel was really fantastic. So I'm still on the roster for stuff like that.
Yeah.
They offer me jobs all the time. I say like I can't do anything which more like absolutely maximum like 2 months because I also got other things. That's like, as you know. So yeah.
That's fantastic. What an amazing thing to look back on, all these stories, you know. And I know you've got some books coming out later on this year and stuff, but have we started on the memoir to capture all these things? Because
I haven't.
What a life.
Haven't.
Oh.
I was so pleased. I was looking for something else in my library in Sweden, and I found an old book which I started to write when I was working in Kenya. And I thought I lost it. So I started writing like a fictional book about an imaginary person which accidentally come from exactly the same military unit as me, who had accidentally, because many things I've been doing has been so crazy and unlikely, it would never happen in reality. So I can basically just write about some of the things I've been actually been doing because it's too good or too stupid to be true.
Gotcha.
And now I found it.
Fantastic. That's a great find. That you must have been so pleased finding that thing.
Yeah, that was good fun. It's at least a good quarter of a book. So yeah, I should send it over to you if you can read it.
Tremendous. From smelling coffee beans to getting generals to fight organised crime. I mean, what a comparison. The contrast is ridiculous. Cool. That's a very cool life.
Yeah, and also today it's really fun to be part of other people's journeys, to go from something they really don't like their day job, to in a very short time frame later, they actually can decide to leave that job and to see their family again, and property as the vehicle to make it possible. That's really cool to be part of training, teaching, or coaching, mentoring, or doing JVs to help them to get to that stage. It's really fun.
Yes, yeah, because I mean, you speak about that a lot in your online profiles, obviously talking about helping people, giving them back time, giving them back freedom, all of these words, because I think you'll probably know a lot better. I think sometimes we get bogged down with the numbers, the profits, the business, the logistics, the ins and outs. But at the end of it all, when we go home, we're still people.
Yep.
You know, we've got the brain, we've got the heart, we've got the soul. We need to actually be satisfied, don't we? We need to have fulfillment. And
Yes.
if you don't have that, you know, your life's just wasting away, I suppose. I mean, you must see that with so many people who are quote unquote successful, yes, on paper and materials and objects, but they don't actually have it within them. They don't. Do you see that in people?
Absolutely. And there's also, it's just really stressful the way you deal with social media, because you can portray whatever picture you want, whether it's true or not, that's completely irrelevant. Which means that if you see the best out of everyone's lives and you compare yourself to others, you will feel really, really bad, even if you're actually in theory really successful. So you can have depending on what's going on in your mind, you can feel really good about being not having much at all. Yeah. You can feel really bad about having everything that everyone else is wishing for.
Totally. And tell me this, on that subject then, with, you know, the quote-unquote success, someone who is achieving it on paper, who's doing well, business, numbers, money, objects, but someone who's also finding fun, finding time, freedom, family, happiness. Is there people that you would select as the role models for that, as people that you admire for that you've come across, that you've worked with?
Yeah, but it's again like what is the reality behind the show? You don't really know what's going on, especially on the side of the head. I mean, even if everything looks fantastic on the outside, you really don't know. And I've been doing this long enough to see through what people do. I went on a training many years ago. I did 2 weeks training at the intelligence service center in Sweden. And the topic of this 2 weeks training was how to lie and how to spot a lie.
Wow.
So I came home to my wife and said, darling, I've been on a 2 weeks training how to lie. And by the way, I'll go away for the weekend. Like, I shouldn't have kind of combined those two statements.
No.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's just hilarious.
And the training in the military background and stuff, have you found a big benefit transferring those skills into just what you were talking about before with the logistics, communication, organising? Yeah, has that been a powerful thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, especially to dare to take decisions. You're forced to take decisions all day long in the military and also in business. But some people have never had the training to take decisions and face the consequences. And also when ultimately, many occasions, I have faced life decisions for myself and for others. And when you've kind of taken those decisions and seen the consequences through, then a normal business decision seems quite small, which means you are less faced to actually act on a deal, act on something, and then be prepared to take the hard work that comes with it, because many people don't dare to pull the trigger. You've seen so many people at networking events, and you see them year 1, 2, 3, and like year 3, like, so have you done any progress yet? Well, no. If you look for the Holy Grail, you won't move. Not even the Monty Python found the Holy Grail.
Exactly. Yes, there is no perfect deal, is there? There's no absolutely flawless deal or opportunity out there. Tell me, for those people listening in then, whether it's property specifically, whether it's just business in general, with all your experience, with all of the problems you've solved with big companies and so on, if you to tell them 2 or 3 tidbits to get them started, you know, over anything else, please do such and such, or please think about ABC. What would you tell them? What would you tell them?
My top advice, I keep saying this over and over. I told it to a lady yesterday in the evening, really keen to get started and so on. And I said, find the best person doing what you want to achieve already and do it with them.
Right.
There's no rocket science. I'm not trying to sell coaching, training, JVs or anything, but guess what? We have both seen it, that people that try to model people who are really successful and maybe do the first 1 or 2 deals with them, and then they found their own way how to do it. I see that to be way better to actually get started. Many of these training programs, which might be like a whole year, people look for the Holy Grail, and people don't take the decision. They don't man up and work with someone else, which means ultimately they push their starting point into the future unnecessarily, in my view.
Mm. And what do you think it is that holds us back? What stops us from taking that step?
It's not successful. Sorry, the famous and infamous fear of failure.
Fear of failure.
Yeah.
And any way that someone could overcome that, or is it through taking the steps that makes you overcome that? How do you look at that picture? What comes first?
If you see, like, you got your comfort zone, and then just on the edge of your comfort zone is the actual learning zone. That is where you actually push the boundary, push beyond what is comfortable, what you have done so far. Because if you like to get new results, you need to do something different. So you need to add someone else to the team, or you need to change, something needs to change, because if you're doing the same over and over.
Yeah, there is no new learning, and you're inside that comfort bubble. Yeah, that's a good way of putting that. I like that. The learning zone just beyond the comfort zone. I like that. Yeah. With all the countries you've been, the 40 odd you've travelled to, do you see any that are doing it better than others? You know, as a general, as a stereotype, as a culture.
All right, I take it.
Put you on the spot there.
You might recall that we had a little vote a while ago.
Yes.
There was actually, in theory, a guiding decision.
In theory.
And following up from that, people had not taken a decision to take a decision on the decision that needs to be decided. Sorry, I lost track. What was the question? Can you recall it?
It was in case you'd see, with all the different countries you've travelled through and worked in and so on, you know, if you saw any who were really, you are really kind of, in general,
yes,
you guys are doing it right. You've got the right mentality, the right mindset.
I've been traveling about 80 countries now, working more than 40, and I would say I haven't found the perfect one yet. There is unfortunately good things with multiple things. That's everything from, if you take Thailand as an example, the hospitality and trying to make people feel good and helping and the smile of the nation. That's a good thing with Thailand. But from a business point of view and from like a corporate structure and legislation, that's not the best place to be. Then you can take UK. We have got strong financial and law systems, which is one reason why I'm here. Also opportunities, one reason why I'm here. It's not because I love the weather. I love the aspect of what's just outside my door here, which is like an endless. It's basically taking all the business opportunities in Sweden times 10, just because of the number of people living here, basically.
Really? That's what it is?
Financial hub as well.
Okay.
While if I go to Sweden, on the other hand, I got a country which is like bigger in size than the UK. So I think Sweden's got many things right. But what I dislike is I would like to take the competitiveness from America. That it's okay to try to really be a big entrepreneur and push the boundaries. That spirit from America. Right. I like to have the life balance from Sweden. Right. Let's take the smile from Thailand.
Okay, I like this. We're building up a menu.
Let's take the order and details from Germany. What else should I pick? Let's take the financial capabilities and creativity from the city of London.
Right.
And then I would apply that somewhere where the weather is nicer than here.
Throw in the weather and that's you. That sounds good. That sounds a very good combination. I like that. Now, let's delve into the property world then.
Absolutely.
So, especially, obviously, with the UK property world. What's your opinions? What's your experiences? Where do you see it now? Where do you see it going? And obviously, we've got the whole big Brexit catastrophe that's going on at the moment. How do you see the impact and the consequences in your own view, in your own opinion?
Yep. Right. So starting with like the big picture, like what is the market and the market opportunities? Mm-hmm. So the audience might have a fairly good understanding that there are lots of different strategies you can do.
Yeah.
So without diving deeper into them, it's just to take whichever strategy you choose for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. It might be because of your time, your knowledge, or other resources you have available, that you pick a strategy and an area. Does that even fit with the market? Is there a demand for whatever you plan to do? Like new build, if it's like buy to hold, whatever it might be, is there demand for what you intend to create? Mm-hmm. So market, big picture, and where are you on the wave? So for example, when we set out big time a number of years ago, HMOs was really, really a young phenomenon. Whereas now the market is very saturated. You can find, depending on where you're in the country, you can find more rooms available than people looking. And in other parts of the country, it's the other way around.
That's right, yeah.
So does the strategy even work for that area that you consider? So someone smart told me a few years ago something which is very logical. As the population is increasing and so on, so it means that we will need more housing. So therefore, to do any kind of like developments, if you do that well, that's one place to stay and to play, because in the end of the day, there's just like demand for more housing. Then do you build the right thing? So one thing which I think is not quite right yet is the too tight rules around unit sizes, in my view.
Right. Okay.
So take Manchester, really prime area of Birmingham and London in particular. Why not allow the market to decide what is actually in demand?
Yes.
So does it make a difference if the one bed is 45, 40, 35, or even 25 square meters, as long as the person is happy?
Yeah.
And it's in their budget. So the whole aspect of micro living, and if you look at all movies from the future, basically everyone looks like in a really big city, really.
Yeah, that's right.
They're
all in little pods.
Their own little pod where they live.
Yeah, that's right.
And even if you're really, really well off, you still might have a flat which is smaller than the flat I'm sitting in today.
Sure.
And then you're really well off, because in the future there's no space. So
just a simple supply and demand stuff then, really, isn't it?
Yeah, come back to the basics, supply and demand. Where are you on the wave for that strategy? So service accommodation is still very much in an early stage, where the legislation has not caught up properly. The lenders have not caught up properly. There are many things, to put it like that, where many people operating in a grey zone. I prefer not to do that.
Right.
Partly because I've studied law or worked with what is right and wrong. I try to do things as right as I can. Otherwise, I would never write a book about trust. Otherwise, I'd be stupid.
Absolutely. And with the mess that's going on just now with Brexit and so on, how do you weigh that up as regards to impacts, consequences? Where can you see it going?
I think the whole Brexit is also coinciding with a world slowdown.
Right.
I follow markets and the whole global development really closely, because of where I started to invest initially was in day trading and trading stocks and shares with various time frames. So that means that you need to understand what's going on outside your village. Otherwise you will be influenced by, for example, America or someone else. So understanding what's going on in the big pictures is key. And Brexit has coincided with like a slowdown in the whole world in production, and also the overall cycle. Yeah. So we got like a double bad thing happening.
Yes.
And it's really sad to see some of the businesses and people jump the country because of the uncertainty. It is what it is.
Exactly. And on that big picture front, the whole global economy itself, do you see that slowdown happening for a longer time to come? What's your thoughts and opinions there?
I think we'll have quite grey mood for the next two years-ish.
Right.
Then like year 3, everyone have forgotten what we just had behind us, and then we'll start all over again.
Do it all again.
Yeah, exactly. That's my view.
Right, okay.
And then, No, I think it makes sense to take from that angle. And then also think about coming back to, like, we talk about the market, like what does your company do and what ultimately would you like to do to pick whatever is right for you. To copy everyone else is not right. You have to think about what works for your circumstances.
Yes, your own environment, your own skill set, your own resources that you've got available. Yeah, so it's a case of looking at yourself. What I'm hearing from you, I'm picking away at threads here. It's 3 different boxes. Number 1, you as an individual.
Yep.
What have you got? What do you actually want to do? Because your clock's ticking. You know, what do you actually want to do? What are your resources? And then the next box, okay, in the market that you're in the area that you're in, what does it need? What does it want? What is it looking for? And then the third box I'm hearing from you is, yes, but also think outside your village. Think big picture. How's the whole thing going on? And
Exactly.
is that how you would piece the things together?
Yeah, absolutely. And then also ultimately, like really think like big. Is okay. We take a look on the watch and see like how old am I? Therefore, what is my expiry date if there is one? Can I move that? So, for example, today I've been doing like training in the morning. That means I might change the expiry date or not. I don't know. At least make me feel good today.
Yeah.
So with the traditional life expectancy, like, can you make that better? Yes, you can. You can do a lot of things to your life. And also, therefore, how would I like to spend the next X amount of years? So therefore, some people work really, really hard for a short time frame to then enjoy it. I've been doing a lot of that, but I still enjoy like the whole process. I'm not doing more for the sake of it. I do like what I'm doing, both helping others and also creating more assets and ultimately contributing to the whole economy and charity and so on. So I'm on a level where it's really fun because one thing just gives the next, and it seems so easy, not all days, but many days.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. I know you mentioned training there. You mentioned your kind of personal world, and obviously you've got the military background as well. Yep. Is there any wee tips and tricks you could share with us there from a personal point of view? Your morning routines, your evening routines. Are there things that Fredrik always does every day that makes you the man you are, that gives you that drive to do so many different things?
Yeah, I am lucky, and I also believe I've contributed to my own luck by many choices so far. So yeah, I get up in the morning. That's a good start.
That's a good start.
Someone told me many years ago, Richard Wilkinson, and like if you can do this motion,
right? So you're putting the arms back. Okay.
Yeah. My shoulders can do this motion in the morning.
Right.
That's really, really good. So for the audience listening, I just put up my arms, shoulder height, and just did the motion like outwards.
Which is almost pulling back, rowing back almost, yeah.
So even more powerful than to complete a marathon. Do you know why?
Yeah.
If you can do that in the morning, that means, number one, you're alive. You are not in a coffin. You're not in a coffin, you're alive. Check it out. Yeah, I can do it. We are good. High five. So fantastic. Bring on another day or whatever that is. So that's number one.
Right.
I try to do exercise in the morning. There's something called like The Miracle Morning, a good book I can recommend. Which
Hal Elrod, I think that is. Yeah, it's very powerful.
Anything you can do. I know many friends who are doing like meditation, exercise, and so on. I don't have a fixed routine.
No, do you not?
No, but I've got lots of good habits, which is almost better than, it's like the same as a routine in a way. So I like to have X amount of training sessions in a week, get up in the morning, and also when I'm in Sweden, we also have a dog, so it means naturally you're out in the garden in just a few minutes with the dog in the morning, which is great. And there we also have like our own little park where you can walk around, which is really an amazing privilege by a lake. So I feel really good about the environment there. So that gives me a great joy just to look out the window where I'm here in London. Just that view, come up a bit and you get more an oversight. That brings a smile to my life. I think smiles in your life as part of your routine is really good. Whatever brings the smile, if it's your dog, your view, your spouse or your kids, whatever. I think smiling is really part of
your life.
That. Life, you're smiling. You might have some physical exercise. You might have some mental exercise. I like both like meditation and planning, goal setting, all those things. But no. So that's the morning. I don't have a fixed routine, but I have lots of things I usually do, which are considered by many people to be quite good things to do.
Right.
In the evening, I'm lucky. When I'm not got my family around, I can basically do whatever I want 24/7. I don't need so much, which means when I'm in London, I'll probably sleep 4 or 5 hours. When I'm in Sweden, I sleep long just to try to accommodate and go to bed earlier so I can see my lovely wife and also spend time with them and get into their routine. So I got 2 different routines.
Right.
Full on business 24/7, which is my UK mode, and other parts of the world. And then I got my try to not rock the boat too much when I'm in Sweden. So I have to slow down.
Of course.
Because I'm moving at 200 miles an hour and then come into a normal family.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm probably a bit too much sometimes.
Oh, fantastic. And is Sweden still considered that homeland? Is that your place? Is that where you come back and you become the real Fredrik? Has it got a draw for you, or do you fight it?
I got many. I'm like a chameleon. I adjust to my background and environment. I really like Sweden, but there are many things I do dislike with Sweden. But it's a really nice place to be. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I don't want to be in Sweden for my whole life, nor in the UK. I like to be more of a migrant worker, moving between places.
More nomadic.
Yeah, more nomadic. Yeah. Because I like change in my life, which means I got different kind of businesses, property, finance, and also helping other people with other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just showing that I can't just do one thing only. Mm-hmm. I figured that out about myself, so that's where it's good.
Okay. And picking on the financial aspects of the world and your experience there, what are the things that you see going on there? Because we spoke earlier just before recording about, the Bitcoin and how that's getting spread about the world and so on. Where do you see things moving in the future in the financial aspects?
Forward.
Always forward.
No, jokes aside, I mean, we've heard this over and over, and it's just true. During our conversation, it has become more money in the world. Why? Because every single country is printing money. Many of the banks have got their own issue money stamp. So that's one thing. So how do you react to a world where the money is becoming worth less and less and less? Generally, yes, you also got the inflation in mind. So basically, to be a traditional saver was great when you were like in the 70s and 80s, maybe, where you can also do more things. Mm-hmm. I think today, unfortunately, many people need to really think about your own life plan from how will you finance your own livelihood, especially when you come to a retirement age. So that's a big concern I have, which society can't really cater for because it's not feasible. So as a retired person in Sweden and UK, your life will be very different. Like the minimum level that you actually get from the state is like more than 4 or 5 times higher in Sweden than here.
Is it?
And that's basically living at the same price level in both countries, which means like some people here are extremely fortunate.
Wow.
And that's just a little example. I'm not saying that Sweden's perfect either.
No.
I'm just saying that as 2 examples since I know both those systems. Mm-hmm. And it's just the same all over the world. How can you plan for the long term, but also enjoy today? So coming back to the whole, you mentioned Bitcoin, for example, I see the technology behind that to be very interesting. I've been sitting on the sidelines knowing that there is no underlying asset whatsoever. It's just like the derivative market in the stock exchange, where the derivative is just a piece of paper saying that whatever is underlying, but in this case, there is not even anything underlying. So it's just linked to how much do people trust this new thing, which is just like the piece of paper of money. Like, do people trust the piece of paper, money? Like in Venezuela at the moment, their inflation is like crazy. Yeah. Do they trust the money? No, they don't. We did a video about Bitcoin a long time ago with my boys. I just tried to explain how it works for them. And we were in the elevator going up and down, and we had lots of fun with the rate. It's just amazing. But the technology is there. I like it. Mm-hmm. The whole future of finance, I see the aspect of crowdfunding, mm-hmm. peer-to-peer, the disruptive technologies and disruptive ways how to get better return on the banks. That's really up and rising. Mm-hmm. It's still a Wild West industry where FCA is trying to regulate it. I've got 2 businesses which are licensed by FCA, one through like an endpoint representative, the other business has got a full license.
Right.
Which means really ultimately that, we've crossed the I's and the T's from an FCA point of view.
Sure.
Still, that means that the business people in any business is very much responsible for the risk, for other people's money and so on and so forth. I say the market has not seen the first shake-up yet.
Really? Is that how you look at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I look, I am bullish in terms of the crowdfunding space.
Right.
Considering to acquire full companies,
Right.
like to buy a whole crowdfunding company. Why? Because I know how it's done. I know how to find that kind of money in theory. Which means, how do you filter which one will be around when the market might get even worse? So we both probably know many developers who are a bit stretched at the moment.
Yeah.
Because of the market, they can't really sell stuff. We've got a friend of me and my brother in Sweden. He's got his company on the stock exchange, and that has taken really a hammering in the market, where they've got probably hundreds of units which have not sold.
Really?
Sitting on a large stock of flats in a market where people maybe not dare to commit. I got friends exactly like that here in London as well, where they're sitting on hundreds of units which are not sold yet.
Right.
So how do you survive that? And then if you are the piece in the puzzle, which is the lender, so you got the lenders, and then you got the crowdfunding platform, then you got the theoretical defaulting developer who might, yes, you just might be out of cash.
Yeah.
And the cash flow is stopping for whatever reason. That is pushing all businesses into crisis.
Yes.
So if the platform has not done the right due diligence, and if there's not enough security, that means that whole investment might be lost. I'm not saying it's to scare people. I'm just saying people do your own due diligence on the deal and the platform.
Yeah.
So tech people in crowdfunding, they might not understand the property side of things. Property people might not understand the tech side.
That's right.
But. I spoke to a solicitor yesterday, and he said, well, guess what? Yeah, those are two big problems, but even bigger is they don't really understand lending. Neither of them.
Okay.
So actually, he came from there like, okay, those two are big issues, correct? But he's coming from the legal underwriting side, which means that they played really safe, slow, steady. So they will not offer any of these really high returns, as you can see on the platforms. Just slow and steady, safe, boring, but still a lot better than banks. I think those platforms will do better.
It's interesting how there's so many gaps and problems, and some areas overlap, some just don't quite fit, and then of course there are the middlemen who come in and they can join the pieces together.
Yes.
Interesting. And other projects that you've got in the go at the moment, you were talking about some books and stuff that are going to come out this year. What have we got in the pipeline?
Yeah, so I should have a book in just a couple of months. You'll probably see that in due time on social media. It's called Trust is the New Currency.
Okay.
And it does exactly that. It's just explaining why trust is a currency that we can actually trade with. So if you and me trust each other, it will be so much easier for us to do business. So our actual transaction will be faster.
Right.
The book is also mainly around, number one, how you can build and maintain trust. Second stage, how you can use trust to build your own dream team.
Right.
And part number three is how you can apply that in investments and business. So how you can ultimately you build your own team, you now sort out the trust aspect, how can you apply that in business, ultimately get your own investment triangle right, founded on trusted relationships, which in my world, essential. And I find it strange that no one has really been writing about this before in this way. But anyway, it's fun. So
is it a long time coming? Have you been putting it together for a while?
Work in progress. It feels like I've been writing the book 4 times.
as long as you get the right finished version, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm doing a co-authoring with a lady called Sheila Holt. She's got a business called Sapphire Lending. Right. That's the business where I got the biggest interest in as a co-owner, co-founder, and also as a shareholder. So that company is, think almost like a bridge company. So we've got lenders and borrowers, but we don't really touch it. We just connect the dots, just like a crowdfunding platform would do, but completely without the tech. It's people and it's trust. And many of the lenders are like really long term, and the borrowers are experienced people who know what they're doing, who are doing profitable deals. So that means that it works for everyone, basically.
Yeah.
So that book has been work in progress for more than 2 years, and it should hopefully come out towards June. We'll see.
Fantastic. Yeah, we need to keep our eyes peeled for that one. And on the podcast front, are you still doing podcasts and stuff yourself as well?
Yeah, so I got one podcast which is called Invest in You, which is taking what we speak about here, like business aspect of things, property, but it's the whole aspect of things. Invest in you means, to me at least, is your health, your wealth, your relationships. Is more holistic, which means we can basically talk about anything we want, which we find interesting.
Brilliant.
So it's great. It can also be maybe confusing sometimes for the audience, because one day we have like a really cool fitness person who's talking about some aspect, and then we got someone talking about like mental health, and then we got a crazy sales guy from America called Grant Cardone, and then we got like Rob Moore and Simon Suchin, and lots of people who all got their angle on life, and then we talk about branding. So we got weekly episodes on Invest in You. We've been keeping that up for a while, so we're up to episode 55, I think, or something.
Fantastic.
And then, because I'm doing that with my two sons, they are engaged in the whole process as well, and they are learning. I'm doing it more for them, really, than for anyone else. Not for me, not for the audience, mainly for them. But the world is also benefiting, and so am I. And so also the people who are our guests. So it's great. And then I got another one which I'll kind of like relaunch. It's called Investing Skills, where it's just like 5-10 minutes on something really tangible, actionable.
Right. Okay.
So, I got like just, more than a handful of episodes. I will pick that up because it's so easy just to do on the phone, just like almost like a daily good tip, basically.
Right.
That's what I intend to pick up again. So,
fantastic. There you go, listeners. You see what I meant about this man. This is what I was talking about. He's got his fingers in all these pies. He's doing absolutely everything. I think he's got 48-hour days. I think that's what it is. That's your success, Fredrik. You don't run to 24-hour days. It's not fair.
Exactly. Cheat the system, cheat life.
Absolutely tremendous.
But don't cheat your friends.
An amazing life and an amazing journey so far. Absolutely brilliant. And remember, listeners, if you want to hook in with Fredrik, reach out to him, see the companies he's involved in and so on. Check out the show note pages, click on those links, and of course hook into the podcast that he's just been discussing there just now, and get his books when they come out as well. He's got everything happening in the world, that's for sure. But I want to be respectful of your time, but before I let you go, Fredrik, I'm going to pick on that part about how you give the quick tips. So the clock's ticking. You've got all these people listening. You can give them one tip for their personal point of view, health, relationships, whatever, feeling good and being good. And you can throw them one tip that would get them success and happiness on their business side of their life. What would you throw them?
Right. You only got one life, one body. Treat it that way. That goes for both of those. The life.
Oh, you're cheating. You're cheating. You give one for both. No, I like that, actually. So always be conscious that the clock's ticking.
Business, key reason for my success is partners. See yourself as someone who can help others. So your customers can be partners. So can your suppliers, and so can your future business partners as well. So really, partners brought me to where I am today and will continue to help me to grow further as well.
That is a beautiful message. I like that. I really like that. Looking outside yourself. You're not just the man, the king, the boss, aggressive, the fighter, the winner, the guy in the top pedestal. No, actually look at it as a more of a level playing field and relationships, partners. I like that. That's a tremendous message.
And ultimately, even, you just take a horror example of, imagine the worst, many people on this podcast are landlords or have some kind of tenants. Your absolutely worst tenant, many of them still pay for your life. Don't forget that.
That's a very valid point. Absolutely tremendous. Great message to him there. And I put you on the spot there. The man had no setup involved whatsoever. I really put him on the spot. So, Fredrik, for your time today on This Week in Property, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. And feel free to ask me for help. I do try to help, but I'm time poor.
You are indeed. Thank you very much, sir. Hi folks, it's Richard here again. I really hope that you enjoyed today's show. Now listen, I've got 2 links to help support you on your property journey, and I want you to write these down when it's safe to do so. You might be driving in your car just now listening to the podcast, and that's fine, but please make sure that you get back to this and write down these links. Okay, are you ready? Got your pen in hand? So the first one, thisweekinproperty.com. Now that's the website for this podcast. On there, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out. What you can also do on there is catch up on tons and tons of past episodes. There are hours and hours of property related content and some amazing guests with some fantastic insights to help you on your property journey. So that is thisweekinproperty.com. Okay, next link, propertyprotege.com. Now let me spell that one out for you. PROPERTY PROTEGE. That's propertyprotege.com. Now what's it all about? Well, the Property Protege Intensive is designed to give you the lift that you need into the world of property. And if you've already started, if you've already got some experience, then this can help you accelerate your progress even further. The experiences that people have had at Protege and the success that they've achieved afterwards has been life-changing for many people. So go there right now if you're serious about property and if you want to build a highly successful property business. That's propertyprotege.com. So there you go. That's 2 links to some fantastic resources that are going to help you. And listen, talking about help, can you help me to help other people? You see, the more that we can share this podcast, then more people can learn from the fantastic guests that I've been so lucky to talk to. How can you help? Well, it's very simple and very quick. Just a short review on iTunes is going to help make that happen. If you go to thisweekinproperty.com/iTunes, that will guide you to the very place that you will be able to help other people. So thank you. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for listening into the show. And I look forward to bringing another great guest to you in the next show.